Well, if you're just
Got it.
listening, head over to theTitic.news.
THETA.news. Big Dog Live on his channel now. You're doing good.
Hit that like button.
Hit that, yeah. Smash the like button, like the smash button. Troll us in the troll box.
Smash it. Mash it.
You
Crash
know,
it.
if you ain't first, you're last.
Crash it.
God bless America. Nothing here is financial advice or advice of any kind for myself or my guest. We are just some gangsters having a chat. We hope you enjoy it. Rest in peace, Harambe. Keep your fiat in your bank accounts where it's nice and safe. And let's see here. Looks like we are live on my end, although no one's joined the chat that I've seen. I might need to refresh here.
I'm there.
Are people in my chat?
Dave speaking.
Do you see anyone in my chat? I don't see anything.
Six watching. There was one chat.
I see your. Oh, I see your. I see your note here. Man, maybe it's just everyone's busy right now.
Well, you know, my companies that we just all went back to work today.
Oh, word.
And I'm sure the year's getting busy for people. So Willie Cash is there.
Rest in peace, Saget.
Yeah.
Damn, 65, young. Almost makes you wonder about like, oh, is it, you know, a situation like the young lady who was a famous agent for like Kim Kardashian, who was found with head trauma in her car, like just dead. You know, weird how like agents and all these other people are getting got right now.
Yeah, so. I feel like every death should be investigated with a thoroughness. I mean,
totally.
Everything from grandma to, you know, public figures.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we don't have you running our investigations. We have compromised individuals. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, we could take that in many different directions.
And wanted to send a personal apology to you. Last time you called in, I was like not doing a good job of, you know, moderating. I was interrupting you a lot, so I listened.
So. Yeah, I got your message like weeks later because your Telegram just totally buries the message, and I didn't even recall that. I don't think I saw that live stream get posted, so I was wondering what happened.
I did. But, I took it down the next day.
No need to apologize to me. Maybe did your viewers not like it or something? Did you get ragged in your?
No, I re-listen. I re-listen to my shows, almost every one, just to like hear how I'm talking and reflect on it the next day. Or like, you know, yeah, I know it's really tough. You know, because I'm like, man, I'm such an idiot. Why do people like me? And, you know, those that do, I mean, and
that's a healthy. I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I thought so.
As long as you're always feeling that way, you're not going to be static, and you're going to continue to try and grow. For that reason, maybe I need to grow into listening to my own stuff because I'm just afraid of it. I know what you mean. For that reason,
I know what you mean. I hate to be like hypercritical. Well, I love to be too hypercritical on myself more than others, I guess. And so like, it's even harder for that reason. But you know, it is what it is. I think that, it has improved. You know, when I very first started, I would listen to like every single one the next day religiously. And I think that was probably the single best thing that improved me, honestly, because I was interrupting you. You were saying a lot of like golden comments that I just like wasn't processing correctly, and so I was just like, I'm not, man. Plus, I let out a few personal like notes, like too many personal items on that call-in show. That I was like, I'm just gonna take this private.
All good.
Yeah.
All good.
So
I had fun.
Oh yeah, me too.
I think I
honestly
was
had a
like
great
wrapping
time.
presents and drinking a bit, and so I was just like really letting loose, and I think I just stumbled on your live stream. I was like, I'm gonna call this fucker.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah,
awesome. Well,
but
glad you did. Glad you
yeah,
did.
I always enjoy our chats, and you're sort of a, yeah, I don't know if you consider yourself this, but I see it as a central figure in the Theta community. So it's always good to connect with you. And as if I'm gonna like lick my thumb and hold it up in the wind, I think you probably read more about the sentiment in the market than the average person in that community. So it's always interesting to get your take on and see like where it lines up with my take, because I'm invested in it and I'm excited about it, and I've been following it for a couple of years now. So I think it's and then we go off on other subjects too, which is also very intriguing
Yeah,
dynamic.
absolutely. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of sentiment, I did have people recently reaching out to me saying like, hey, you haven't streamed in a while, which I haven't. 100% a fair comment to say. And they were saying, well, just so you know, last time Theta was this low, you really did a good job of calming people down and giving them the, fortitude, so to speak, to kind of jump in with extra cash they have hanging around. And, Theta fuel 16 cents. So I'll tell you what, like, I'm buying right now. Every time Theta is below $4, I buy T Fuel. Like that's my new personal rule. With any cash, and then if Theta rips to like $8, and by the way, I'm talking about like a very very small bag relative to the main holdings. But every time Theta rips to above $8, I ease off to get some of that dry powder back for when Theta goes back down under 4. I buy more T Fuel, so like it's a nice like little flipping game. And I must say the sentiment is very sad right now. A lot of people, which if you ever study the Wall Street cheat sheet like cycle of greed and and euphoria and then fear, like about when to buy, when to sell, now like psychologically speaking, from my anecdotal observations, right now might be the time to buy. So just a thought. What's up, AGOG? Formal spam here. We got Ron C, Rye Bread, Court, my boy Ken, Willie Cash. Yeah, so I'm buying at these levels. I'm selling a little PSLV, which has also gone down. Like literally I'm literally hopping back and forth between two highly undervalued assets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when the sentiment gets worse in Theta and T Fuel than silver, which is hard. Honestly, it's hard to get worse than silver, which is ironic. But when it gets worse than silver, I hop into some T Fuel. And then when I don't hear anything for a day or two, then maybe I'll go back into some silver. I don't know. So it's just kind of like a little intra portfolio musical chairs I'm playing here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's a dangerous game to play, no matter which way you cut it. But I think if you're playing within the right pool of assets, overall, you're going to come out ahead in the long term, which is a subjective thing. Some people's long term happens to be very short. But if I go over to the Big Dog Squad Telegram as sort of a litmus test of Theta sentiment, it seems very. I mean, there's a lot of debate and back and forth, but I'm noticing a lot more negativity than concentrated than I have really in the last 12 months around the project.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, none of this is financial advice. But if you were a buyer at say $9 a theta or 38-cent T fuel, if you're a buyer then, obviously you're expecting it to be higher than those levels at some point in the future at which you would sell. Now, you might have thought at that time, buying at those levels, that it was going to be within the year. And so if that didn't happen for you, I can understand why you would be disappointed in the price action, but I wouldn't confuse that with, or correlating it even to the developments and the announcements and the progress that's been made by the project, the patents, all of the news that happened in 2021. I mean, the most disappointing thing, right, is that the news has been very good, but the price action has not reflected that. And that's a glass half empty way to look at it. Another way to look at it is, okay, well, I'm saying it's
you get to buy more.
I look at it half full, right? Because I was a buyer at higher levels, and I was happy with those purchases, confident that on the longer term timeline, it will be much higher than at those levels that I just mentioned.
Do you listen to Rick Rule by any chance?
Yeah. I used to a lot more on King World News.
Okay.
When I was more of a silver, gold bug, so to speak.
Dig it, because you're saying a lot of things he says, like you're paraphrasing a lot of the like messages, the life lessons he says. He's like, hey, listen, if you've researched the SHIT out of something, right, and you're like, oh man, I'll tell you what, like I'm buying this at 20, I'm buying this at 15, and then it drops to like 4. Yeah. He's like, you should be ecstatic because you can load your effing boat. Yeah.
Right? But sorry, loser's mind. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But I'm just paying the favor back, my man.
Love that.
But a loser's mindset would be like, dang, I bought at 9. It's around 4 right now. If I had saved my money, and waited till now, I could buy a lot more. But, if it was a fundamental investment at 9, the same must be true now unless something has changed. If something has changed, what has changed? I haven't really seen that other than some like generalizations around, marketing or communication with the Theta project. Otherwise, it's just sort of sour grapes about where the price is at this point. And I get it, right? Because good news should, beget price action. But in the short term, markets don't always operate on a rational basis. Mm-hmm. But on the long term, I think they do. And that's why I look at it as a glass, like you said, glass half full, in that, well, the fundamentals haven't changed. And surely, Rick Rule's coming out here. So if you have the dry powder, now's the time. Or maybe it will go lower and then it's an even more glass half full. But
totally,
timing these things are so difficult. And, another thing I've seen critiqued about the Theta guys is like, oh, they said it in their AMA, like they don't care about price. And it's like, dude, and that, so that's why we are where we are. And it's like, dude, that you should see that as a good thing, that they don't just obsess over the price of their token. Otherwise, it's much more likely that it would be a scam coin, if they're just trying to pump and dump. That's the point of a scam coin. Instead, they're saying they're focusing on the fundamentals, which in the long term will bear the fruit. That's just my opinion. I don't do a whole lot of the trading, but like I know I was a Theta owner before the mainnet 1.0. So when that happened, I was granted or airdropped or whatever 5 T fuel for every Theta that I owned. I had no idea what T fuel was at that time, and it took me a while to really understand it. It was all of a sudden in my wallet. I didn't know what I could do with it. I think I understood it was at the very least going to be a software access token for streaming infrastructure in the future. It wasn't even really functioning as that at that point. But here we are in 2022. They have the video API, which is now being embedded in like WordPress plugins and is delivering the only thing that I could envision for it and a lot more. So, my strategy has been, I'm not going to unstake any theta because you get the T-drop distribution, which is much like T-fuel, a bit of something I have to learn more about to really understand, but I'm not going to risk the wild card of losing any of that T-drop distribution based on unstaking my theta to try and trade in and out of T-fuel. So I'm not really buying any more theta, but I can understand at these levels 4 or below why you would, if you haven't already, drop some coin on it, you might want to start staking and getting that T-drop. So I've left that alone, and I'm just going to see what happens with T-drop. But any dry powder will be spent on T-fuel, and that goes directly into funding ZNN operations, or staking in our dedicated edge nodes. And I've also been experimenting, and I use that word literally, with the volt swap farming, and I might look at T-bill. So with that all being said, I'm just amazed at the negative sentiment and how like the price action has made people really question and doubt the fundamentals of the project, which have only improved over the last 12 months. So that's like what I really wanted to, if that helps calm anybody, I don't know. I hope so. I don't really care about calming them down so much as I just wanted to say all that. I'm just like astonished to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I almost like, hey, don't calm down. I want cheaper T-fuel, But, in all seriousness, I gave you that one Sprott kind of idiom, if you will, earlier. But what you said with the fundamentals and stuff makes me think of another Sprott idiom where he says, if you can find the difference between price and value, that's
right.
where you make
that's
a lot of
point.
money, right? He said that in the long run, like you said, in the long run, that's where you make a lot of money. So like when he says in the long run, I think of the idiom, get right and sit tight. And then patience is a wealth transfer from the impatient to the patient, So you have to have the discernment to see the value and price divergence. And then B, you have to have the balls to go deep, no puns. And then C, you have to be patient. And you're going to have people say, dude, what are you doing? Like, check this meme stock out, or check this. Man, I can't believe you're just staying like in that. Oh man, I've
heard people say I'm dumping them. I'm dumping all my T-fuel. I'm dumping my theta. I'm like, well, let me know. Let
me know. Yeah, we'll do OTC
let
stuff.
Me know. We can avoid some fees, some swap fees. We can make this real easy. I'm totally serious about that. But on my stream, I'm showing the Theta Medium site, and I even saw Teddy B, who I think does a great job with the Theta. Teddy. Just putting his
my boy.
Analysis up there. It's always like really to the point. But I reached out to you actually after listening to one of his latest videos where he was lamenting the lack of communication by the Theta team. And it's been 3 weeks since they said anything. And I think they owe, their community like weekly updates on what are you working on? What are you blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I was like, wow, even Teddy B is like, is upset with these guys. And it's like, they have published a cute 2022 roadmap. Okay. So that's out there. Then you look at the hackathon, which dropped on the 10th. And you could spend hours just going over those projects. Then you look at all the updates from November 24th, November 22nd, November 11th, November 8th, going way back. I mean, they're having like regular updates, and they're not fluff articles. They're patent announcements. They're the blog posts about the metaverse infrastructure, which has a lot of Easter eggs in it. The announcement of the video API. Other key things like as far as transparency goes, the unstaking of THETA validator tokens to make ecosystem finance decisions and stuff like that. And it's like, we just had the holidays. Can't these guys take a couple of weeks off and not like make an announcement without everybody shitting a brick?
Yeah, it's unbelievable how much people are on their case. It's like they're doing exactly what we need them to be doing. They're like head down, working hard. Transparency, it's pretty centralized right now. So like their best time is not necessarily spent on transparency, but innovation and meeting other partners. And there's just so much that they can do and aside from like calming down investors, like these guys don't care about price. Like they don't. They would have chased exchanges a lot harder if they were caring about price so hard. And that's what encouraged me so much more in general about the long term is, if they're making the stew the right way that the stew needs to be made and shaking the right damn hands, I hope they don't advertise. Like it gives me more time to make more money and buy more tea fuel. It's like, it's unbelievable how salty some people are. And I saw someone in the comments was like, yeah, what's going to make me ape in, And I'm like, well, if you haven't done the due diligence, like, I'm not going to say there's an announcement coming on Monday, the next Monday, and it's going to go to, $100 a token, and you should ape in now. First of all, I don't give financial advice, right? Second of all, like, yeah, if you want a get rich quick scheme, find some other crypto.
It reminds me
get some small
of
shitcoin.
My father-in-law. I got him in October of 2020. So I think he got in at 70-cent theta, and I can't even remember the T fuel, but it was a $10,000 investment on his part, and I was like, look, crypto is extremely volatile. It's like you said, a nascent market. It's tricky to deal with. There's a learning curve, which I would be happy to help you with. Long term, I think this is going here. And I think I said, in 5 years, THETA could be in the double digit or maybe even over $100 a token within 5 years. And
I'd say that's
T-Fuel,
like the very, very low end. Just
right. So I felt like I was being conservative, but at the same time, at the time, that was a huge, jump, right?
Sure.
And so he put the money in, we swapped it. And like over the next 2 weeks, I think THETA dropped by like 50% or something, maybe 40%. And I was just like, look, this is what I was talking about. There's no real, other than like the broader market and the fact that Bitcoin sort of causes all ships to rise and fall at this point, in a certain sense within the altcoin market. There's really no fundamental reason for this to happen, but I think in a year's time, you'll still be happy.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Of course, what happened, right? It went to 16. I forget exactly when, but it was in the first half of 2021, right? And
yeah, sounds right.
Man, he took some profits. Super happy with that. Did he want to retire already? Did he want it to be $100? within a year? Yeah. Is he bummed that it is now 4? I mean, a little bit. I mean, it's still more than quadrupled.
Yeah, if you're a long
And
term guy, right? You're
and
like you're not you're not like ecstatic,
right.
but you're still like my life is vastly superior to the life I had a year ago,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
he put 10,000 down. He's already gotten that back, and he was able to renovate uh, a big portion of his house.
Yeah,
And he's still in profit. I set him up with an edge node, and he's just like amazed at the magic digital money that gets delivered for him keeping this laptop on all the time. So he's actually growing his position,
magic internet money.
and will probably make back. I mean, what he sold to get that 10,000 back, he will make back with staking rewards while it's trading at 17, 16 cents, which he can buy more of now.
Yeah,
So I just like extremely optimistic.
amazing. We have a call-in user here.
Word? Sure.
Should we see what's going on?
Yeah.
And I agree
Who
with
we
what you
got?
said, by the way.
Who we got?
All right, let's see. Yo, my mic sounds nice. You're on with Big Dog and DaveDave.
Big Dog, you're sounding nice indeed, brother. This is Max Theta calling in from the middle of the Canadian wilderness.
No
What's up?
effing way. All right, guys. No's and Nomads, Max Theta, welcome aboard. He is the winner of the Big Dog Avatar contest. He
Wow.
won the first place for best artwork in the contest. It's now my new Twitter avatar. If you haven't seen the actual tweet where he won and you want to see his thing, he's also Max. May I tell them your prior, accomplishments?
Hey, give it up, brother.
Okay.
I'm always eager to hear about myself.
So Max is also an Etch-a-Sketch guru, and he makes crazy awesome artwork on the Etch-a-Sketch, where he'll like sketch half of something and then shake it a little bit to get like some shading, and then sketch the rest, and super super cool art that I'm actually I'm challenged because I'm like tone deaf and I can't draw, or I'm not artsy, and the creative side of my brain doesn't function. So I equate it to like I'm like mentally like a blind person, because like if you don't have eyesight, your other senses improve. So my other senses have flourished, except for the whole like singing, instrumental, drawing, creativity side. So everything else for me is amplified. Anyway, thanks for calling in, Max.
Hey, just happy to be here. Yeah, can't wait to see that gnome make it onto some merch too. I'll buy some T-shirts. What's up?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was thinking, I gotta, you're so talented. We got to do an NFT thing. For you not to be immortalized on the blockchain is a sin to Theta. So we got to talk about something like that.
Well, I had my Etch-a-Sketch drop on Theta drop there a few months back.
Oh, awesome.
I've been digging up some other cool projects. I've been talking to tickets.io. I've been talking to Joey TV at Just Weird TV on Theta. I've been really exploring the possibilities of some really cool projects, along with Camp Theta that I'm hosting in August.
Whoa!
Which is going to be a luxury exclusive camp on my private lake here in northern Ontario. We're nestled in 50 acres of old growth forest. And,
that sounds lovely.
I bought my own private spring-fed lake about 10 years ago. So I've been running the camp for a little while, but I just kind of shut it down because I don't like dealing with tourists. But I still host retreats up here, and I just brought on a Blue Seal chef for the camp. So it's going to be a nuts.
Dude, you got to get me and DaveDave and some other Theta OGs up there for a retreat at some point.
Yeah, man, let's do the OG retreat.
Dude, that'd be great. I know, we've been kicking around, some of the OGs have been like, hey, what are we thinking for a meetup? And so this might be like a nice time to at least put that forward. But I think that'd be great, man. I'm jealous. I would love to have that beautiful countryside. I'm stuck in the concrete jungle, kind of for the time being, so to speak. But
hey, as long as you're working your way out of it, man, you're going in the right direction.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. Yeah. Absolutely.
So you had mentioned earlier some sprotisms, and I think you were talking about silver there for a sec. One of the little gems that I always like to throw out there, because I've been in silver for well over a decade. Got in silver before cryptos because there weren't any cryptos.
In that case, I feel your pain, brother.
Land. Yeah, well, it's not so much pain, man. I mean, like, any other investment in the world, if someone said you're going to do 300% in a decade, that would be like, yeah.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
It's I'm all over
totally
that,
true.
Right?
It pays when it pays off. It really pays off, and it kind of like evens out for the triumphs and tribulations over the past, time. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
Well, the payoff that I'm looking forward to, and this has always been the end game for me, because I'm 100% land ownership. You can talk about stockpiles, and you can talk about crypto making you as much fiat as possible, or getting the fiat or whatever, and all stockpiles run out at some point. But with land, I mean, you can literally stake your land for yield farming, and you're never going to run out of food. I don't even have to do.
It's the oldest form of yield farming
around. Yeah, that's it.
It's like the prostitution
farming around
of
here.
yield
And
farming.
I live in a bleak Canadian wilderness, and I can still pick stuff off the trees and off the ground and out of the earth and out of the lake and out of the land that I can eat. Like I don't want to have to farm if I don't have to, right? So
are you talking about?
There's so much protein.
Are you talking about organic NFTs?
Yeah, basically, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So except that they are kind of fungible in a way, because I can plant some seeds and duplicate the whole thing.
But I would argue no apple is genetically identical to like the next apple over, or at least like there's slight deviations.
Well, it gives new meaning to an Apple NFT, right?
Oh man.
So
we're doing Apple gnomes.
My whole thing,
it's settled.
The reward that I've been looking for while I'm stacking physical for so long, still do, is that historically you've got this like mega cycle where real estate bottoms out at the same time where silver explodes. And for me, the end game has always been waiting for that moment and trading my silver for more land.
Ounces for acres.
So just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Dude, I too am waiting for the ounce per acre ratio to get to something silly. And when you think about it, COMEX is really the only like marketplace where silver gets its price discovery, quote unquote, right? Heavy quotes on that one, price discovery, worldwide, right? Because the dollar is the global reserve currency, and then silver is traded like on this U.S. based exchange. Lots of funny paper on that thing sloshing around, where like it's like 2 days. It only takes 2 days for the entire global silver mine production to trade back and forth in volume on the only silver exchange in the world, right? So I look forward to the day that MF fails, and the people who have physical are like, oh, you guys are all having trouble like getting the metal? Oh, okay, good. So I'd love to get some acreage.
Getting closer and closer.
Oh, dude, it smells real close. That's why it pains me with my trading vag. Every time I have to sell silver, to go back and like get some sub, 15-cent tea fuel or something. I'm like, oh, this is painful because like silver's also so undervalued, and so I have to like, fight my inner Robert Hartley and be like, no, just sell the silver, because he's always like, I sold all my silver and I'm happy. And I'm like, you SOB, like anyway, in my mind, I think it's crazy. He has close to 0% exposure to silver. I think it's honestly reckless as a father of children to have close to 0% exposure to silver. So.
Well, I'll tell you a secret. After I bought my first Bitcoin bag, I had already had a few, a big bag of silver, and someone said, and it was JSNIP actually, because I was all over some crazy conspiracy forums on the internet, who was like, well, this Litecoin thing in a nickel. And I was like, my Bitcoin's done so good. What's the chances that lightning's going to strike twice and this Litecoin thing's going to take off, right? Like, it's just a terrible imitation. Yeah. No, I'm going to buy like 10K worth of silver instead.
Woof, I know.
And so I made my choice.
It's okay. It's okay. I think it's in the end, it'll even out. Dave, do you have any thoughts on the past few moments?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not getting Max Theta's audio patched through the Zoom, so I have been trying to pick up. It's okay. I didn't want to interrupt y'all's flow. I picked up some things. I think I gathered he's the gentleman, obviously, who won your contest, but may have offered his lake property for a get-together. I think I saw that in the Telegram, and I was like, yeah, I'd be down for that. As long as I can get there without wearing a mask or, submitting onerous medical information that I don't have, I'm down. I got a drone for Christmas and would love to
that's awesome.
Take some cool footage of that. But I also, heard bits and pieces about the silver discussion. It's all good. With silver, I haven't bought any in a long time. If I had not learned about the Theta project, I probably would have spent a lot of that money on silver, but I've been diverting funds into that and spending more effort in that. But I love the silver that I have. I started buying back in 2008, right after I graduated from college. And I even wrote a letter to I wrote to family and friends who got a Christmas present from me that year. I bought a case of Creature from Jekyll Island and a silver ounce. And I wrote a letter and printed it out all nice, wrapped it up with the book and the silver ounce, and gave it out to everyone from my office manager at the time to, people in my family. And the letter basically said, there's a big problem with our monetary system, and what is going on with our dollar, and what is going on with these central banks, and what is going on with the silver. And I was like, not financial advice, but I think that the dollar price is going to go up, and that's a reflection of the destruction of our own money. So here's 1 ounce. As a symbol of that, think about it, read the book to maybe if you become interested in learning more as you watch the price, because I'm not expecting you to read this huge voluminous thing. And sure enough, I think I was paying $8 and some change at that time for the silver. And I don't know who really tracked it or ended up, a couple people read the book. I guess I've been pretty disappointed in the uptake on awakening to what's going on. I'm just amazed. I've been listening to Bix for a long time. I see a lot of people, criticize, his comments are closed because he's just so wrong about silver and he doesn't want the critiques. He just want to keep, presenting the same, it's going to happen. It's going to collapse in 2 weeks. And it's like, no one person really knows the timing of all this, even the controllers, because different things happen
True.
Along the way that causes the trajectories and the timelines to change. I am astonished that this black swan financial event revaluation hasn't happened at this point. So, I think you were expressing earlier, it feels really close. And it's like, I've been biting my nails since 2008.
I know, man.
Which is the first time. And I should have known about it even before then, but I was over fluoridated, chlorinated, and just in another world at that point.
A lot of people still are in.
Sure. And I get it. I was there. So that's my thinking on the matter. And, I could go out with that mentality and buy silver today at what I would see as a discount on the long term. Now, could it go back down to $15 or $4 or $2 in the meantime? Yeah, but does that change the fundamentals of it? No. I think Hartley has a bit of a point in that, the silver doesn't, it doesn't generate more silver when it's just sitting in your safe. Okay. And so that's why I'm a T-fuel buyer at this point, but I'm not going to sell my silver like I said before, I don't do the trading or swapping other than like the volt swap experimentation I'm involved with. Mm-hmm. I'd rather just keep my coins, give away a couple, as gifts here and there, but I'm just going to keep my stack and keep stacking the cryptos that I have. Some Veritasium too. I'm really interested to see what's going on there. I sort of happened upon some of that. I got 2 from Bix subscribing years ago.
Hard to get coin.
And I think that'll be real interesting to see in 2022 what happens with that.
I totally agree. And I think White Dove did caution about like, hey, this might not 100%, like the patent might not 100% spill over into the token. But Bix is right. They're lottery tokens. I'm worried about them a little bit just because they're kind of part of an illiquid market. It's hard to get in big and get out big, in other words, without causing, large market fluctuations and price inefficiencies. So liquidity is important in any market, which is something to be very, very cognizant of. But I dig it, and I'm sorry I messed up the sound. It's hard to cross the tracks of the 2 calls.
No worries.
Still figuring. Never had a call user and other kind of person on at the same time. But Max, thanks for calling in. Do you have any other parting thoughts?
No, man. I just wanted to say what's up. I'm just glad that my satellite phone finally let me call you because it was giving me some weird noises last time I tried. So,
dude,
good to
awesome.
Connect, brother.
Yeah, good to connect with you. And I've been thinking about getting one of them satellite phones and maybe like getting ham radio certified. So give me an email with any recommendation you have on either of those fronts, if you don't mind, my brother, because I think diversified communication tactics can be beneficial potentially down the road, given whatever happens.
Yeah, I think you're on point with that, man. Give yourself as many options as you can. It's good chatting with you, man.
Good chatting with you, and thanks for coming on, and thanks for the kick-ass logo. Which I will soon.
Hey, my pleasure.
I'm going to soon try and like extract the image out of the background too, so I can like do like a PNG translucent cutout of it on my live streams as well. So we'll see.
If you want a PNG, I'll send you a PNG in like 5 minutes.
No kidding. Oh, dude, if it's easy for you, I would greatly appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, no problem. I've already got one on file. I'll ship it right over.
Oh, dude, that is awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks again for the awesome submission and calling in. God bless.
Right on. Have a good day.
You too, man. You too, man. All right, Dave. Back on one-on-one session. That's awesome. Max called in, man. It's always a fun surprise seeing who calls in, you know.
Absolutely. I need to get that set up on my side. Of course, I need an audience first, which has been a challenge for us talking about.
Tell the crew
flat
where they
Earth
can find
vaccines. Oh, you guys can always find me at zetic.news. That's ZETICIC news at .news. zetic.news. We're also on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, GetHer, Gab, and a couple other places. You can find all the links. And Telegram is probably the other best place. We've got a pretty shallow roster there. I think there's like 30 people on there, but the content just it flows all day. So check us out.
Dude, share your link in the Big Dog Telegram.
Oh, sure, we'll do.
Yeah, because I think there's some people in there who would appreciate that link.
Well,
it's honestly an amazing crew there.
I did drop the YouTube in there, and a couple folks joined my stream, and unfortunately, they helped me understand that I did not solve that echo issue.
Oh, shame.
So I might be downloading your stream for the audio.
You may.
So I can
you may do
re-upload.
so. And it would probably be better too, because like I have Max's audio in there, Max Theta's audio too, so it'll be more complete.
Exactly, right. I think that's Guardians of Theta, and he's listening on the Edge node as well. And I love it when people tune in there because, I've been looping our episode that we did on one of my Edge nodes for months and months and months. And every once in a while, I'll open the Edge node and see who's if anybody's chatting on the Theta Edge node, and pretty on that stream, I tend to get pretty regular comments. Love Big Dog, great episode, whatever.
That's awesome.
Of course, every once in a while, you guys are fucking idiots. You're talking about flat Earth, you're morons. So I like that too.
Yeah,
love to all the haters.
People are gonna type how they feel, and that's what it is.
That's what it's all about. I don't want to censor that. I want it.
Yeah. Totally. It's I try and minimize censorship literally everywhere I have control.
Yeah.
Unless it's like,
so do you think
legitimately offending people,
Right. I actually laughed because I think I watched your interview with Wes on THETA.tv so I could earn some T-Fuel while I was doing that.
Oh, nice.
I think that happened, right? And I saw in the chat window, somebody was like, there was a username, Theta Faggot. And somebody was like, why is Theta Faggot allowed to have this username? I'm offended. And I was just like, nah, man, no. Just be offended or whatever. Like, you don't need to control the username. But that's its own beast. I heard you talk about ham radio too. It blows my mind that the FCC controls the electromagnetic spectrum and will fine someone for saying a cuss word and broadcasting it through the electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, thousands of dollars for saying a cuss word under the profanity laws. Which
crazy.
Excuse me. Profanity laws.
It's just such a slippery slope, and the Constitution of the U.S. is like very clear. These powers are enumerated to the federal government and literally 0% anything else. That's been so trampled on, it's just been so shat on. It blows my mind. I have a sticker on my laptop that says, I love the Constitution.
We'll see. This is like the destruction of the Constitution is by design because they teach you the Bill of Rights in class, right? But they don't teach you what they are. Like you hear, oh, this is the amendments. These are the amendments, but they don't really say amendments to what,
Yeah.
And if you went to law school, you understand that, and then you realize, oh, our way of government has been destroyed, and you either aid in that destruction by participating in said system, or you try to sleep at night by working within the system to try and bring justice where you can. But the cogs of that machine, they don't ever change the shape of the cogs. And
I'm gonna give you a glass half empty on that. I'm sorry to do
Let me just say real quick, the amendments were the Bill of Rights. It's like, okay, we want to form a federal government. Okay, well, you can do that as long as you don't infringe on the. So it was an amendment to the contract to form this union, right? And yes, the contract is enforced. Now, one could argue, like Lysander Spooner, the Constitution of No Authority, that this was an agreement between men who've long since died and long since had no association with me individually. So one could argue, they had no authority or jurisdiction to make an agreement that bound me in any way whatsoever. But, if we're in this business of government, hey, Bill of Rights are pretty good, right? They were amendments to say you can form this government, but as long as you don't infringe on these points, these enumerated points. And yeah, it's brilliant. But if it was respected, and let me hear your glass half full on that.
I'm sorry, it was a glass half empty, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
But that's very interesting. You have a deeper knowledge than I on thoughts about that in a different tangent. I have my nanny's boyfriend just graduated law school and just passed the bar. And I was like, oh yeah, well, what was, are you litigating? What's your favorite, topic in law school? And then I went on to ask him how's constitutional law? What's that looked at? And he's like, oh, well, that's the section they minimize and everyone dreads. I'm like, oh, the quote unquote law of the land is the section that's minimized right now. Oh, yeah. That makes me even more fucking nervous than I was before. Right. Throw me another THC gummy. I need to pretend I didn't hear that.
It's like I was at my wife's best friend's wedding, and her father is a retired defense attorney, and had his own practice and everything, and I got a chance to talk to him at the reception, and was dealing with a traffic case at that point, which I had refused to show a license because I did not think that the officer had probable cause to stop me in the first place. So I objected to the interaction on its face for lack of jurisdiction. And I went to court pro se and defended myself. And when I lost at the pre-trial hearing, I basically demanded a jury trial and escalated it until I eventually got a dismissal. And I was just telling him this story, and before I finished the story, he was like, oh, you'll never win on those grounds. The police officer and the judge, they work together every day. And the Fourth Amendment and all of that's been trashed. And it was just crazy to hear. Here's a retired lawyer basically jaded, oh, you gotta try another alternative because this whole you have rights thing. No, it's not like that. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. And then he also admitted, okay, the judge and the police officer work together every day. That's called a conflict of interest. What are you talking about? So it's mind blowing.
I'm speechless because we're living in such a post-constitutional society, and it breaks my heart that, and other people, even though we are living in such a society, other people either just are just so clueless about it, that they can't really speak to the topic, but some might still try to. Or some people are cognizant of it and are like, well, it's such an old document, like, doesn't even matter anymore. I'm like, yo, well, if it doesn't matter, like, let's put a new one out there, right? Like, let's vote on this shit, instead of just ignoring and pretending it doesn't exist. Like, that's the whole point of amendments.
Yeah, before I launched ztitic.news, I had a sort of like a proto CNN that was more locally oriented called Bull City Bulletin. And I think I did this back in like 2013. There were all these protests happening at the Raleigh, North Carolina Capitol building. You can search information about it, type in Moral Monday, and there were all these like social justice warrior type, sit-ins and so on at the Capitol building. I forget the exact reason for it all, but me and a partner who's been on our show before, we went there to do a test, an experiment, and we had a petition drawn up, and it was to basically ban the Bill of Rights. And we just quickly presented it like, because the authors were slave owners, and racists, we should not have this institution of Bill of Rights. So this petition is to get Congress to ban it. And 50+% of the people, and we even went as far as to say, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. They were like, yeah, here's my name. And we're like, it reminded me of that Mark Dice video from a long time ago where he tried to get people to buy an ounce of gold for like $20 or something, or whatever it was.
No, it was, he had a Snickers bar and like a brick of silver or like a gold coin. And he was like, which would you rather have? And they're like, well, I can't eat that metal, so I'll have the Snickers bar. And he's like, okay. He gives him the Snickers bar. He goes in. He was literally in front of like a coin shop. He goes into the coin shop, trades in like the gold coin, gets like $15,000, like, or $1,500 or something like that.
Right.
And he's like, do you know how many Snickers I could have bought for this?
It's incredible. But it's like man on the street type interviews like that are a real window into the crisis of awareness that we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And
media wars.
Yeah, that's why I was trying at that time to. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I sort of got started as an activist with the fluoride issue, and I realized, wow, fluoride could be like a linchpin institution in the status quo, because what we have is a crisis of awareness, like broad spectrum across pretty much every issue. That is not going to solve itself unless the IQ of the country is higher. So this like 60 some odd year policy of basically titrated poisoning of the public is, among other things, preventing the meeting of the minds from happening. Like some things you would think we could all just agree on, like, hey, what happened in the Midwest over the last couple of years was not peaceful protesting, but yet people actually differ on that point, just as an example. And to me, the biochemical like reduction of IQ is a big sort of linchpin of the status quo. But we're way off topic now, although you didn't really specify one on your stream.
That's okay. I think we're still on topic because we're just speaking the truth. Yeah, the truth is the topic today. And I really liked what you said. They're trying to dumb us down. They're trying to attack the family unit. They're trying to inject funding into the public school system, because then they could say, oh, when you don't teach the history we want, or whatever subject we want you to teach, we'll take the carrot away, which taking the carrot away is kind of a stick. You know what I mean? Like carrot or the stick. Do you want the reward or the spanking, right? Well, taking the reward away is kind of like a spanking in some
It's
respect.
a soft spanking. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a punishment.
When you get them hooked on it, right? That sweet, sweet
Absolutely.
carrot. And
You might say that's even more insidious.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know, it's
That's
more
a word.
insidious.
That's a word I'd use.
You know, like how they took away sports. They took away
Yeah.
the bars. They took away the movie theaters. They took away everything that the country was drunk on. Everybody sobered up
Yeah.
real quick because of the fear injected into the public mind. And now the foundation was ripe for, hey, you want this back? You want your sports back? You want your fun times, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta do this. You gotta do that.
You got to listen to us and just obey us blindly, and then you got it.
Yeah.
I have a pinned tweet to my profile. If you wouldn't mind if I read it, because I think it's I personally think it's powerful, and kind of is.
Go for it.
Thank you, my man. All right. So it's a what they call a thread on Twitter. 1 out of 6.
Yeah.
Loading up on silver is the single best way to peacefully protest against oppressive government and central bank monetary stupidity. If we can all collectively buy enough, we gain the advantage in relative bargaining position. We would hold the keys to the vaults of the best conductor of electricity on the periodic table, a surprisingly small market. We would break one of the most rigged markets mankind has ever known, and along with it, break the chains on our invisible shackles. We would smoke all the funny paper out there in either short silver or paper pretending to be silver. When the tide goes out, we will see who has been wearing the swim trunks. 5 out of 6. Upset about your paychecks buying less every week, being forced to get a SHOT or lose your JOB, the mainstream media's constant lies, irresponsible fiscal stewardship. By now, most of us know something is seriously wrong. Whatever the motivating factor, if we come together as a team and quote unquote work smarter, not harder, this could really work. So instead of standing in the streets with signs, stack that shiny, my beautiful silver warriors. The end.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the break the bank silver thesis. That's why I hold it myself, and I look forward to that day. I got to jump, Big Dog, but it's been great talking to you, and I think that's a good